it's Bastian time. Welcome to Nintendo News, I'm your host Bastian. Let's get to that first story. This past week, some really interesting footage has surfaced regarding Crash Bandicoot. Now, Crash Bandicoot also made some waves because there was also an image scene where in the background somebody said, wait a minute, in the background there's a Crash Bandicoot poster and that design of Crash Bandicoot doesn't look like anything we've seen before. Is this a new Crash Bandicoot game in development? Unrelated story, Renegade Kid shows off some footage from a demo that he was tasked with creating for a cancelled Crash Bandicoot project that was supposed to be for the Nintendo DS. You can watch the video by clicking on the link down below. I watched it and I wasn't a huge Crash Bandicoot fan or anything, but I did play the first one and finished it and liked it a lot. And this game looks like it could have been awesome. I don't understand why it got cancelled. It seems like it would have been great. Now, like I said, I did play the original Crash Bandicoot. It's true that I'm pretty much a die-hard Nintendo fanboy, but even still, I do buy consoles from other companies, so I did have the original PlayStation, and I loved me some Spyro the Dragon. Yeah, it was Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, basically, on PlayStation for me. But anyway, kind of disappointing that this Crash Bandicoot iteration didn't happen. Speaking of Renegade Kid, he made some waves this past week by a blog post of his over on his personal blog, and in it, all he was trying to do was explain why he was personally very worried about some recent news that hackers feel like they are very close to fully hacking the Nintendo 3DS. He says that yes, he understands that a lot of people want to hack it simply to do region unlocking because a lot of people feel that it's not fair for Nintendo and other companies to put those restrictions on the consoles, but that aside, what he's saying that he's most worried about is the fact that this will also open the doors to potentially just rip open the eShop and make purchases from the eShop completely moot. Basically, piracy is what he's getting at. And I mean, piracy is sort of a controversial topic. I have some personal opinions on it, but all I'll say is that he is worried, and I feel rightfully so, that if people are able to just sort of steal games that are made by tiny one-man or, maybe three-man development teams, not huge companies, huge corporations, but just Joe Schmo in his basement putting together a game and trying his best to make a living out of doing what he loves, and people liking that game enough to want to procure it, but not wanting to pay for it, then he will not be able to support himself and will not be able to continue making the games that people like. He'll have to get a job, a different kind of job, which will take up all of his time, and then he won't have the time to make video games anymore. So there was a lot of backlash. A lot of other developers took him to task for his opinions, but if you want to read his exact words, there's a link for you down below. Our next piece of news is a little distressing, and it seems like it's very possible that the downloads that you make on your Wii U are not tied to your Nintendo Network ID like most people just assume, but rather to your specific system. So if you ever resell your system, whomever purchases it from you is going to luck out with some awesome games, but you are not going to be so lucky because apparently you're going to have to repurchase those games for your other system. Kind of unusual if that turns out to be the case. At this point it's not clear, so we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe you can let me know in the comments if you've already experienced that even. Knuckles, everyone's favorite character from the Sonic franchise, or maybe that's Tails, or maybe it's Sonic himself, but in any case, he was apparently originally designed to have the Nike logo, but it was supposed to be this sort of tie-in between the Sonic creators and Nike, but then Nike backed out for whatever reason, and so they had to redesign Knuckles a little bit to make it a little less obvious that that was supposed to be the Nike logo on him. And then our final story is about Nintendo Force. Now, you've heard me babble about Nintendo Force a couple times, but finally the very first issue is coming out. Now, in case you're not familiar with Nintendo Force for whatever reason, it is basically the spiritual successor to Nintendo Power now that Nintendo Power is defunct. It's created by the fans of Nintendo and Nintendo Power with an attempt to sort of recreate the vibe, the feeling, the flavor of Nintendo Power specific features that happened in Nintendo Power. And it's created by a lot of awesome people out there in the fan community. People like Josh Thomas from the BitBlock, one of my personal favorites. The head guy over at Go Nintendo, so some people from IGN and things like that. So it's really created by people who loved Nintendo Power and were frustrated that Nintendo Power was no more. So it should be awesome. Actually, by the time you're seeing this video, it should already be out. So if you want to find out how you can pick up a copy, link for you down below. And that's it for this episode. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye.